This is kind of an interesting thing. This is Duke versus Chesapeake Energy
Are you
Corporation.
talking about the university?
This is Duke University, and Aubrey McClendon was a wildcat oil guy, and he hit it big in the oil business, and he took a lot of risks, and he made a lot of money. And he went to Duke, and he met his wife there, and I think he sent all his children there, and he just loved Duke University, right? Now, what happened, a lot of his holdings took a hit, because oil used to be like $90, $100
It was up to 120 a barrel.
120 a barrel, and then it dropped down to 50, and I think he overextended himself. And but in the meantime, he had made a $19 million pledge to Duke.
Was this in writing or was this verbal?
My understanding was this was just an oral.
It was an oral agreement.
Oral agreement. So it was basically.
So it wasn't really worth the paper it was written on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was. Sometimes when people talk about oral agreements, they say it's a matter of mind over matter. You know what that is?
Yes, I believe. Tell me.
Yeah, it's like those that matter don't mind, those that mind don't matter. So anyway.
That's good. I like that.
So anyway,
Can I use that in court?
Yeah, you can use that, Your Honor.
I'm sure by the way, Your Honor, it's mind over matter.
This is a question of mind over matter.
Mind over matter.
Those that matter don't mind, those that mind don't matter. Okay, so he made this $19 million pledge. Now Duke is coming after about half of that. And I don't really understand their theory on that.
Oh, well, King Solomon split the baby.
Yeah, split the baby in half, And so, and of course the heirs, well, what happened?
Well, wait a minute, how much money was in the estate?
There's quite a bit of money in there, but it's hard to figure out because he had so many different holdings and he was kind of overextended, so there was a lot of debt.
Are you telling me he was building a little pyramid scheme with all these money?
No, I think that he was putting stuff out there. When the oil prices dropped, he had to contract his thing. So he wasn't doing.
Was the estate capable of paying that amount?
Yes, I believe it is.
So why aren't they just paying and leaving it alone?
Because the heirs don't want to pay it. And so.
But wait a minute. How long after? Let's strike that. How long before he died did he make this promise? Was there witnesses? And how many people witnessed it? And was there any memorialization in an email even that would recognize that this?
My
was
understanding is that it's oral, and I think it was within a couple of years of the death, and the death was untimely.
Why was the death untimely?
Well, I think he died in a car accident, and so it wasn't a planned thing, and
that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of.
Was that foundation, the Clinton Foundation?
The Clinton Foundation. No, it was nothing.
They needed his donation.
Maybe the Cayman Islands. We don't know. So when this happens, first you got to pay the state's got to pay the IRS first.
Of course.
And I don't know how much he owes the IRS. And then the next is the secured creditors, and there's quite a few secured creditors, right?
Ah, I see.
So they're still hashing that out,
okay.
right? And the estate's concerned if they give these guys $9 or $10 million,
they'll be out of money.
They might, at the end when everything, because the secured creditors, of course, they're trying to give how much on a dollar you're going to give me.
This is an unsecured creditor.
Well, then
Duke would be an unsecured creditor.
Well, I don't know if you even call them an unsecured creditor. You call them a promissory
beneficiary.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, then next would be unsecured credit, like credit cards.
Beneficiaries come last in line.
Credit cards, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and I guess, but I don't even see it. Like, if you do a credit card, you sign something, right?
Yeah, of course, you're on a contract.
So I think this is a quasi-contract or oral contract.
It's an oral contract, but the question is asked of the timeline: how long was the contract supposed to be performed? What was the validation of the contract? Who witnessed the contract? And what was the consideration?
Well, I'm sure Duke has plenty of witnesses.
I'm sure Duke's coming up with a whole army of people. But wait a minute. So the question is. The reason I ask this is because I'm not familiar with the value of the estate.
Well, I'm not sure. People are not certain of that value because they're fighting over the secured creditors.
Are we talking about $1 billion,
but
$500 million,
I don't think it's that much, but we don't really know. But I think there's enough to pay the $10 million, and still probably leave something to the heirs.
Let's talk about it from a reverse standpoint. Why does Duke think they get this money?
Well, the thing that there's a big argument between universities and foundations, people saying if you kind of arm wrestle these donors, that doesn't make us look good. So a lot of it I think is appearance, and that's what maybe they went down from 9 to 8.5 or whatever it is, 19 to 8.5. So maybe they cut it in half because it just doesn't look good. Arm wrestling the heirs over somebody who had an unfortunate death, nothing in writing, financial
this
problems.
Smells to high heaven.
Yeah. So I think that there's an appearance here that could be a problem for Duke.
Yeah, I don't understand because the university on the majority of universities that take endowments and take donations and take charities and all of this, they actually do it on an up and up, and there's usually a written record of the endowment or the bequeath coming from the decedent. In this case, it sounds like you have a witness situation. The court case, I'd love to understand what they have to prove.
Well,
this
like I'm saying,
deal,
as this starts
because
coming,
this deal doesn't make any sense.
No, but as this starts coming out, it's going to be very interesting. So we don't really know. But I think you could say, I don't know if this really fits in, but I would say it's almost like a promissory. Maybe this is mere puffing.
Puffing.
You can say mere puffing. I mean, I promised.
Well, then they
20
should be
million.
settling the case.
You know, maybe I'll give you 20 million because
Maybe he was drunk when he said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so-
was he legally capable of making that?
yeah.
bequeath?
So I'm just saying, I don't know when you're promising to donate. It's not the same thing as a contract, you know, because can Duke say they actually relied on this?
What was their loss for non-reliance? Yes, we know no.
Yeah, okay,
bequeath.
but I mean,
how could they rely on
but
that?
what was the consideration Duke was?
That's why I asked.
There's no
What's the
consideration. There's no consideration per se, and so I think Duke is in a little bit of a problem here. Plus, it doesn't look good to be shaking down estates of donors
estate.
and fighting with the heirs. You know, I don't think it
will
looks
tell
good.
you, if Duke promised to put his grandkids through their university, if you give this bequeath, and he says, I will give this bequeath.
Yeah, well,
you're
then you have a
promising
consideration.
to put
yeah.
my grandchildren through your university.
Or maybe we're going to name the library
Yeah,
after
we'll name the library, or
Something
we'll
like
name the
that.
lab, or we'll
Yeah,
name
right.
something. That
would be consideration. But I don't see that here. I don't see consideration.
I see somebody said, well, they were drunk. Hey, I'll give you some money.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he dies.
So, I mean, it's almost like mere puffing. Oh, you're going to love this car.
Oh, yeah.
Does the car run? You're going to love it.
Oh, yeah. Grandma only drove it to church every Sunday.
Does the car run? You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Love it.
Put the keys in the ignition and just drive on.
No, my guys will push it off the
don't
lot
look,
for you.
don't look,
We're going to
don't
push it off the lot for you.
We'll get it right off the lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason I asked this is because
We're trying to save on smog. You know,
you realize
global
Duke
warming.
University has a lot of alumni that
Right.
donate a lot of money. There's something that doesn't make sense. Duke should have never brought this lawsuit. But one fact I will ask: is there anybody in the family of the decedent that validates the bequeath?
Well, right now I think this is all being handled kind of with kid gloves by a bunch of lawyers because it's a lot of money. And I think if you belong to this, either the Chesapeake Energy Corporation or the McClendon family, you're smart enough to keep your yap shut, and you're not going to talk until you're under subpoena or you're being testified or deposed.
I don't know. I'm very concerned about this because I think it's such a bad eye when you look at it. If I'm looking at this, I say there's nothing good about this deal. Duke should walk away, and
also it makes John Wayne look bad.
Yeah, sure
the Duke
does.
And the Duke of Earl.
Make sure
the Duke,
partner,
the Duke,
Duke Earl.
Duke of Earl. So yeah, it makes all the Dukes look bad.
My biggest problem with this is,
but the main thing,
if I was an alumni of Duke, I wouldn't want to give him a penny after
the main thing is they're duking it out in court.
They're duking it out in court.
So
but the problem is, would you, if you're an alumni of Duke, would you want to continue to contribute when they're being so petty? Now it's a lot of money, but it's still one donation from one former.
So it's an interesting contract. It's an interesting estate thing. We don't know what the heirs think. We don't know really what the proof is. But I would think if Duke had some contractual something signed,
if they had anything, even an email saying
I think we would have heard about it by now.
I don't know. It sounds like it's all verbal. But anyway, on that happy note, I think we'll.
Oh well, wait a minute. We got your pen sets.
Yes.
So why don't you take a look at that pen set?
Yes, I noticed that we had.
That was left behind.
Donald gave us some.
That was left behind by the Donald.
Yes, and this one says, "Obama, you're fired." So, and what does yours say?
And this one is, hold the thing up. Okay, here you go.
And as you can see, these were presidential pen sets given to us tonight on Law Talk from the Deplorable Network. We're here tonight to tell you that it's been one historic day in the lives of Mark Malachowski and James Barrett.
Don't try to adjust your TV set. This is the Deplorable News Network.
This is the Deplorable
Do not touch your TV set. Do not change.
Anyway,
Do
I
not
gotta
change.
say,
Don't change the vertical
don't
hold.
change the vertical.
Wah, 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 wah.